say I'm here, presently right now. I'm 16, I go to RZ Virtual Academy, and I'm an hacker, overall speaking. So, this presentation is pretty short. I'll leave a lot of it open for Q&A, so if anyone has any questions or anything, feel free to ask. If you can, since it's so short, please wait till the end, because that way we can have a nice talk and things as well. All sorts of stuff that we can talk about. Yeah. So, let's get going. Alright, so what is a hacker? Before we can understand how to become a hacker and to become so good at your job and to know everything, we have to first understand what a hacker truly is. So, according to my understanding, a hacker is just someone who knows the technology. So there's a big difference between someone who thinks they know the technology and knows how to manipulate the thing and actually knowing the technology. So someone who can do fancy things in Excel or mess with the program to do things that weren't necessarily just displayed for any average user. Someone who can do more than the average person doesn't make them necessarily a hacker. A hacker is someone who knows the code, who knows exactly how everything works in the system, and that allows them to exploit and change that in order to get exactly what they want to do out of it. So it's neither malicious or bad. And it can be a good thing in a lot of cases, where you can manipulate something that was for one task for your own purposes, which can be very helpful. Yeah. So now we can understand a general idea of what a hacker is and talk about where I started. So personally, I've grown up with computers. My dad was a programmer, so I always had them around myself. But actually, surprisingly, was not very involved in anything tech-wise for a very long time. Since I grew up with my computer, I was always access to the web. I remember when I was very young, I had trouble messing with YouTube and doing basic searches. So you can literally start from ground zero, not knowing anything about computers, being Amish from the beginning of your life, and grow to a fantastic programmer. But I started to build my skills. I got really into computer games and media as a young kid, and got involved with some basic tutorials and things like that. And eventually, one day, after seeing my dad program for years, I couldn't interested in it and just decided to try it out. I took a couple basic tutorials online. There's a nice website called Codecademy, which has a tutorial for Python, which is my first language that I learned, and I still use it today. And then further programming skills, and then my dad also helped invent the range, and I thought it was the perfect opportunity to learn more about programming and things like that after I started getting involved with it, not really knowing anything about tech. Alright, so now I'm kind of introduced to programming, not really knowing much, can do some basic things, print hello world on the screen, and then manipulate the terminal and all that. I got involved with hacking. So we had to do plenty of that. And I went from just sitting around playing games here to slowly getting involved in some minor projects and eventually getting involved in some of the major things we do here, just because of the fact that there's always something going on. There's a connectivity here. Test. What happened?
Yeah, right here, Mike. Just project. Alright. We'll lose the mic, I guess, because we lost connectivity or something here. But, where was I?
Alright. I guess we forgot our mic. Or lost it for a second. I guess we're back. So now they're always going to at the range. And that really hard to do by understanding, because you just get thrown into things all the time, and there's always something new that can bring entirely new knowledge that you never even thought existed until now. So you have everything figured out, you have your own script set up for every situation you'll be stuck for the rest of your life, but then someone walks in with a brand new technology and said, I can do it 10 times better, and in 300 less lines later. So it completely change how you can do things and make your life and everything else a lot better. So, yeah, I've just learned a little bit of my knowledge about programming, basic understanding some of the first scripts I can show you guys here in a second. Just manipulating browsers, I started doing that. And I wrote a script called the DirectSpot, which I use for music and personal use for myself. I started to get a little bit more involved in the hacking part of it, which is where I started building the tools. And also, as mentioned on this previous page, the best way to learn a program is to do it for yourself. Because if you're doing minor projects for everyone else, the problem with that is there's no real heart in it. You're doing things and you're learning, sure, but it's not anything for yourself, so you don't take that stuff to heart. Right? Because you're doing for yourself, you become both the user and the developer, which gives you the perfect opportunity to learn what the user needs and abilities that an average person would need, and then how hard that is to complete from a developer standpoint, and working in order to create the best and most optimal tool for yourself. And also gives you the opportunity and the motivation to do things you wouldn't necessarily think to add in the base version. So you can add basic functionality in the first version, and you can say, oh, I can make this so much better, so much more useful after I added this. And then you go back and add that because you're the one using it, you're the one who wants to make it as useful and as cool as possible because you're the one who's using it most. Right. So skills for the range. Some of these basic descriptions of things I learned here over the past year or so you can expect from being here. Basic server building. So because we range, we always are involved in taking and putting up back servers because it's constantly being hacked or corrupted or something. Someone breaks it because we're always messing with things here. And so I learned all the time basic ISO stuff where you build up a server, take it down, wipe it, and all that fun stuff. So in order to improve that, I use my programming skills to use an automated ISO builder. So this tool I can show you guys if you guys want. It downloads an ISO based off the most closely linked repository that has it on there. And then after it does that, it breaks down the ISO and puts all the modifications in it, including local packages and usernames, passwords, everything, configurations, and then rebuilds it for a customated, unattended, so it's completely automated ISO installation. So I also learned one of the important things that I learned here was collaboration and teamwork. Most security guys, especially when they're working on projects, tend to seclude themselves and separate themselves and keep knowledge to themselves, simply because they're afraid that someone's going to mess with it or tamper with it or destroy something about it, or perhaps they learn that they really don't know as much as they say they know. And with hackers, there's an instant connection between everyone because you're trying to spread as much knowledge as possible in order to be able to break in and manipulate whatever you're trying to do. So that teamwork and that collaboration or information sharing can give you access to all sorts of tools and abilities that you never even thought possible with the technology we have now. Yeah, and as I've said before, there's always something new to learn the range. There's never a dull moment, there's always someone walking in as a project. So if you have nothing to do, just ask someone. There's probably a billion things that they need to get done that you can do in order to improve your skills. That's the last slide here. I'll do this pretty quickly. Hackers. So I'm a little bit more involved with hacking and I've learned a little bit more. What am I doing that helps me improve my skills nowadays and things like that. So in a couple of ongoing pen tests for public websites, they agree to allow us to attack ongoingly freely as long as we don't damage their site and we report it back to them afterwards. So we continually have a program with one of the largest furry websites. We can go in and mess with all their users as much as we want, as long as we don't cause them damage. So I do that on a regular basis. Try to mess with them. I'm doing a whole bunch of projects here. I recently helped configure some of the management systems and helped keep that running. We need to make sure everything's in tip-top shape because we have 10 users out there who are trying to connect to us all the time. So we need to make sure that things can be built up, set down as fast as possible. But we're always building tools and capabilities for ourselves outside of that as well. Lastly, loving my hacking skills, obviously. I have a couple demonstrations if you guys want to see those. I have a whole bunch of tools that I've built over the years, some of the big ones that I have. I have a Wi-Fi cracker, which Brett mentioned earlier. It'll de-off you off the network, which disconnects you from whatever you're connected to. And then after you try and reconnect, it will then capture that packet with the password in it, and it will then try and crack that password locally. So you disconnect for one day and reconnect, and all of a sudden I have your password. I've got the nice fuzzing tool. Does anyone know what fuzzing is? Alright, so fuzzing is essentially just a method of trying to explore every method of hacking ever possible. So you take a word list, or you take some massive form of information, a whole bunch of exploits from a table, and you say just throw it at a server. So at that point, you can learn all sorts of things. So in my case, this tool that I built is a URL fuzzer. So it takes a giant word list of a whole bunch of really popular directories, file names, and things like that on a web server, and it takes to connect them really, really quickly over the internet. What that allows us to do is, even though those files are protected and won't let us see them, if you connect properly and there's something actually there, it gives you a 403 error, which is a permission to not in. But if something is not there, then it's a 404 error, which is not there essentially. So what that tells us is we can map out the website without even having to know anything about it, simply because we have a giant word list of what's common. Because most people aren't creative and don't know how to name their file systems. I got my direct spot, as I mentioned before. I'm on my 7th revision, still building that one now. I went from probably overall on all the versions total, 3,000 lines of code. The last version, I've gotten down from 1,000 lines to about 500 lines. But it's a really nice spot, which is in charge of creating playlists and manipulating music on the internet for personal use. I can show you that in a bit. I got some custom malware that I built. I was testing this out yesterday. It's a Trojan virus. It's called Jova, which is a nice misspelling of Java for anyone's not paying attention. And as soon as you install it, within 30 seconds, I have root access to your machine. So I can show you that in a second. My ARP tool is everyone you don't know what ARP is. So ARP is essentially a connection protocol. So most connections that take place don't actually take place with IP address. They take place with a MAC address, because a MAC address is your hardware address for a system. So when you look for an IP address, the computer reaches out to everyone in your network and says, hey, I'm looking for this IP address. Can anyone tell me who that is? And then they say, oh yeah, I'm that IP address, or yeah, I know who that is, and it points them to the right direction with their MAC address. So what you can do, because this protocol is entirely unprotected and unsecure, or there's no checks and balances in any way, is you can just send out mass packets to everyone saying that, hey, I'm this guy over here, I'm actually this person, don't talk to this person, talk to me. And if you send that suddenly to the gateway and say, hey, I'm also this computer, please talk to me instead. So then any traffic that's sent to that computer actually goes to you instead. So they're sending packets to you, and the gateway is sending anything that would go to them to you as well. So then you can see anything that's coming through either side. It's a man-in-the-middle attack without them even realizing it. And you can see passwords, methods, everything. And then we also got OpenVAS automation. OpenVAS is a nice little tool. It's kind of like a fuzzer. It's a giant set of exploits and tools which is used to map out and get information on a system. So you get an IP, and then it goes and finds a whole bunch of possible exploits you can perform on it. It performs a trace route and everything. But it's a real pain in order to get it to work nicely for yourself and to go through all these steps. So this allows you to get a nice list of IPs and we'll do everything automatically in this nice little menu all configured for you. So yeah, that's the cool. All your base belong to us. So if you have it, we will own it soon. Alright, so at this point I'm going for Q&A. We got quite a bit of time for open questions. If we start running out of things, or if you guys want to see any demonstrations, just let me know. I'll pop one of the scripts open here, I'll put the screen, and we can watch it over. Yeah.
For your ARP tool, how does that get around like sticky Mac on a device where it's coded for a specific, and if it's not there, it shuts the program down?
Can you repeat the last part, sorry?
If the word's set to turn down, if the counter in the Mac is not set for a sticky Mac, do you have a way to go in and pop the device, turn back on, and change the settings, or is it just a failure?
I'm not sure I necessarily understand the question. I think what you're asking is if the Mac changes, or do you have the ability to adapt to that? Is that what you're asking?
No, you can do sticky Mac on a switch, port security on a switch, where you say only allow this MAC address. It's not this MAC address. You get anything other than this MAC address, turn that port down. Do you have a way to bypass that?
There are plenty of, it's really easy to manipulate a MAC address, so if we're looking for one specifically, you can, if you can find what that is, you can just assign your computer to look like that and get in with ease. So all that stuff that looks for specific IPs for specific MAC addresses, most of the time you can bypass pretty easily because they're not checking for that outside of their own system. Yeah.
How long did it take you to do this?
Do what? With the strips and all?
No, how long did it take you to get to a hacker?
Well, currently, since I started programming, maybe about 2 years. I started programming at 14, but didn't really get involved with any scripts until 15. So, not so much actually. You'd be surprised how fast it goes. The Mexican world develops very quickly and you gain a lot of knowledge really fast if you have the ability to listen. So, yeah. Questions? So, you have a question?
Oh, I was just gonna ask if we can see the code for your newest Xbox.
Sure.
See it in action.
Yeah, I can show you some of the basic capabilities for things here. So this screen is a little wonky because we have to kind of upload the videos might be a little bit. Alright, we'll put it back here.
So
This is it's a pretty tool. I'll show you a little bit about it in a second. So I was in trouble with it this morning because I was trying to get it to work with the MySQL database for commands online, but the variables were crashing. I was really panicking because I wasn't sure if it was going to work. But it's the same sort of interface with a bunch of pre-built commands. I've redone it since the last version, all of the commands entirely, and reworked how it functions as a machine. So what it is, it's got a whole bunch of tasks pre-built where you can search on YouTube for just a video search in general. So if you go to YouTube and search Cute Puppies, then it will give you the information for the first page of all of Cute Puppies. But at the same time, it also will go into channels and you can give it specific tags and things to look for, or you can just ask it to grab the top 1,000 uploads, and then it will automatically pull that down from YouTube and play through them automatically. So you'll wait till the end of the video and then shift to the next one in order to create this nice little playlist for yourself automatically within YouTube, and it acts just like a browser. So, yeah. Trying to get here. I'm not sure if any of the sound's going to come out, but we'll find out. Might be a little loud too. So in this case, just for example, I'm going to do a channel search. I'm going to go for Monster Cat. It's a nice little EDM channel that we like to listen to here. I'm going to give it a max videos of 100. And I'm going to ask for it to look for a specific tag in the URL, or sorry, in the video title called trap. So it might take a second. What this is doing is it launches a HTTP request session without actually launching a browser, and changes the headers and everything to look exactly like a Mozilla Firefox browser. And then it goes in and collects everything and simulates the button clicks and everything in order to pull down.
the information it needs. Like walk back here again. Okay, so you can see here, none of the sound's coming out, but it's already playing through the videos. I've got it configured to work because Firefox likes to break with the current browser manipulator that I have called Splinter. I've got it configured so you can, with one variable change, do either Firefox or Chrome upon the launch. And then anything, you can see it's printing out here. I got a whole bunch of commands for useful things. So I can type in, if I want the details of the page, I just type in details here, and it'll give me all the information that I collected from the HTML and parses through it automatically. So I've got the description, I've got the view count, the title and everything, the publish date. So it's just a really useful information gatherer as well as a nice playlist maker for you to run. And most of this was built because a lot of us are too lazy to get up and walk across the room to this computer to play this.
I second that.
So if you want to get the information for whoever's playing, oh, I really like that song, I want to download that, we can do it right from the MySQL interface, the web interface that runs in MySQL from our own machine that I'm currently building now.
Nice. Very cool. Hey. So I put together a custom playlist, download, play off your local, you can play a combination of local.
Yeah.
You gotta speak up louder, buddy. Gotta hear you.
Alright. So yeah, it's got a whole bunch of fun commands like that. Still got a couple of errors here since I was messing with it this morning. But I can show you a couple more tools. So which one of them would you guys like to see most? I got the Wi-Fi cracker, I got the Buzz tool, I got the ARC tool.
Buzz.
Buzz?
Buzz is your own.
So in this thing I got a whole bunch of different modes pre-built, as you can see here. I've built my own custom argument parser for everything since I was really confused.
Mic works. Thanks. I was really confused by anything that was currently available on Python, so I just built my own. And it's got this nice little tool. You give it a dictionary with the main arguments and the sub-arguments, and it builds this nice little page and everything for you automatically, and you can do anything with that afterwards. So I got 4 nodes in here. I got a domain list, which does a subdomain check on the website. So it's got a giant 10,000 long list of the top subdomains that exist for web pages, and we'll do a search for all of them through a DNS records check. It will tell you which ones exist and which ones don't. I've also got crawl, so we're going to automatically crawl through an entire website. You can even give it specific things to look for, and we'll capture those and give you back afterwards. And it always compiles, even if you hit Control-C, which is a cancel for the script, it will write the output, even so. I got a file filter, which is the thing I was mainly talking about. I got a whole bunch of different word lists for a whole bunch of different things. The main one that I built for myself, which is not specified, it does a 10,000 long directory search off the base URL you give it, and then for every directory it finds, it does a 10,000 file search on each of those directories. And then it goes back and does a 10,000 file search on the main URL bin. And then I've got a custom search for people who are wanting to do fancy things with the URLs or PHP injections, since we have command line stuff with GET requests, which essentially allows you to compile your own file, each line being a separate thing it tries. And then you can give it a post and a pre URL in the format and give you back whatever output it gives you. So yeah, I can run the main one here, the file fuzz. Show you that. And when it's all for twisted, so you can get the number of threads and everything to work with. In this case, let's do the furry website since they won't block us.
Actually, I kind of pissed him off, and now he enabled blocking on IPs. Sorry about that.
We're gonna find out. Alright.
I think DM, huh?
Looks like, yeah, I got a little bit of it here. So, what's the thing I always forget? Oh, it's double dash. So in this case, errors, that's annoying. Well, this gives me the perfect opportunity to see the code behind it while I fix this. I can see it. So this is a giant script, so it's got a whole bunch of classes pre-built into it, but it uses Twisted, which is a nice asynchronous threading system. Threading is just a way of manipulating systems in order to have multiple tasks running at once side by side on a single script. So you can see this is my argument dictionary here. This is the Twisted request function, so it pulls down the data and then waits afterward for the body or the HTML to come back, and then it does a parsing or not a parsing depending on what function it's running. So then I got my web crawl here, and if this doesn't work, I'll just run a different mode here because I'm sure more of them will work. But yeah, here's my file files. I got a whole bunch of different things for iteration and things. One of the things that really annoys me about Twisted is it's just essentially a big loop for everything to run properly, and they don't allow you to restart the reactor. And I went searching for why on their main forum. And essentially their answer was because we're too lazy in order to fix it. So I was really mad at them for that. But let me see here. It's the error parsing. It's pretty probably at the top here. Oh, it's working. I'm not sure why it's. Oh, it's just printing the error. I guess it wasn't really had any problems here. We should just. What's the. There we go. Let's see if this works. If not, I'll just run a different version. Oh yeah, it's having problems for some reason. I've never had this happen, but you know, demos. The curse of all demos. So I'll just run a crawl here instead. I got some pre-built stuff. We'll see if this works. So there's a base connect for the URLs on the main page, and then afterwards starts the threading. I was messing around with that it might work kind of slowly because everything else messed up with everything right now. You can see it's going through all of these links and looking for any links it hasn't explored yet. It just slowly goes through them to crawl the website. Give a basic tree of information and everything. So I got 5 threads running. It can increase or decrease depending on my computer or the network. And it will go through and give me everything. So yeah, we can let that run, or I can show you guys another tool if you don't want to. Yeah, the Symphony tool is also pretty cool. Maybe I got some pretty formal stuff I'm not sure. Yeah.
What's the point of crawling a website like this?
Crawling a website can be mainly used for a lot of things. Fizzing is mainly used in the information gathering section. So this gives you a basic idea of what their structure is, what type of files are on their system, and the things that they have. So if you have a whole bunch of users associated with the page, you get the idea of what the directory structure is and page structure for everything is. And that can give you information as to where to look in order to fuzz them further or to start exploiting. Because in order to first understand where you can attack, you have to understand what you're looking at. So by mapping the website, you can see everything that there is to attack in order to figure out the best place in order to start. Any questions? You guys want to keep looking at scrolling text, or you want to watch something else?
See your wireless in action.
And this scrolling text is super fascinating sometimes.
It's really fascinating.
Yeah. Right, I actually just recently rebuilt this tool. I've put it itself whenever it runs. So in order to, I got it to work through separate terminals, launch separate terminals for individual processes. So what it does is it's set up as a class, but then you need to give it an argument in order for it to run. And that start argument at the beginning allows it to run as an actual script. If you don't put it in, it actually import itself through Python and then run itself in a separate terminal in order to get this nice little format of things that you can see on the screen here in a second. So I'm going to run a C user because it requires aircrack.
I can see your fast.
So it takes 30 seconds. You can customize this for incoming things. To come in, it's a nice list of all the users and networks associated with anything nearby, and then we'll attempt to crack it. I've currently set it up so we'll go for open networks, since that's all we have right here. But normally we'll only go for connections that have an actual password associated with them and attempt to crack it automatically. And I've perfectly also prepared it so it doesn't deal with myself. So notice the happens at once here. You can see the massive list of everything that's coming in. It's only found one network on here, and it's found all these users. At this point, you can see where it's going up. Customized scan of collecting any packets that are coming from the network. So that's the spot that's going to collect your reconnection packet and then attempt to crack it afterwards. And you can see on the main page, it's attempting to DL specific users. That DL disabled that just took place is for line back, because I changed my sort of DL myself here.
Andrew, there is currently just encrypted Wi-Fi that you can hack into, so if you want to switch it up, it's super easy to crack. So if you would have found it, you can see it. Okay. Well, it is up. Interesting. All right.
And you can see, yeah, it's pretty slow because I upped the voltage from the last time because we were at a conference, and 15 packets wasn't enough to DL anything off the network, so I bumped it up to 45 packets. So it might take a while for it to get through everything. But it's completely customizable, so you can set what network tapes are allowed to be cracked and what are not. Give certain MAC addresses to avoid DLing and things like that. The wait time for everything, both incoming and outgoing. So yeah, it's a pretty nice tool. I can show you the code for that in a second for those wrong. But you can see the difference are being DL'd because the lost packets slowly increase So you can see that label, the 700-800 is going up there. That's the one that's currently being de-offed. And it just goes through all of them. And afterwards, it attempts to open up an aircraft, which will, when it does receive a connection packet, will go through two word lists that have built up in the system, attempting to find the password. So yeah, questions on this?
You've done a hell of a lot in the last year. You're pretty awesome. What are your favorite types of targets to learn about? And what's your favorite style of hacking? For instance, because I know the answer automatically is going to be all of them, right? But like, what do you find yourself gravitating to the most? Like database optimization or web server defacement? Like, what's your favorite style of hacking?
That's a really great question. The targets that I like to attack are mainly the ones that won't attack back or won't get angry when I attack them.
Awesome, man.
Exactly. But probably my favorite type of hack, the one that I imagine whenever I'm hacking something, is the website defacing, because it's just super public and you can put anything you want on there. And so you get to do all sorts of fun stuff with that. And you get to see that with the BW app we have here, which is the broken web app, which gives you a whole bunch of hacking techniques and things that you can perform here without going to jail.
Why do they call you Gooey?
I know.
Yeah, we do it. Gooey Andrew.
Me too.
Any other questions?
Did you build them off from scratch, or were they like some customized?
I did take a lot of influence from online code. A lot of this you just sort of have to look up on Google in order to figure out how things work. But all of it is self-written, so yeah.
And also, are they available, like, do you like keep them in a repository and this is a private?
I have my own private Git repository. If anyone asks, I can give them my scripts. But currently I have a lot of compromising stuff in all my files, so I like to keep it private.
Anybody else?
Anybody else?
Your sister has a question, I think.
Why do they call you Gooey Andy?
Yeah, we do
Why
it,
do they
Andy.
call you
What was your first big project, like your first big screen?
The first big one that I built was the DirectSpot. The last version that I had I built maybe a year ago. It was my first major Python script that got me involved and really used my programming. And it was about 1,000 lines. I can show you probably another tool here in a second. It's going to get through all the de-offing and then create the craft.
Did you hit anything when it did that? Did you hit anything when it did
I hit on. It was auto or
Oh, alright.
Testing, testing. Okay. Yeah.
What the heck?
the feedback here. Any more questions?
Are you gonna show off the art?
Cool. Yeah, that one's not as fancy or pretty because it doesn't have a lot of scrolling text.
No.
It's depends on the network because art is only as good as your network. So the closer you are, the more likely it's going to work. We have a pretty fast network here, so they can come back with good arts probably just as fast as I can send them out. So we probably won't be able to collect packets here, but I can show you what it looks like.
Just turn the neck down a bit. That's not the right thing. Oh. So I've got three arguments here. I've got the target, which is what it sends out saying, hey, I'm the gateway, can you send me all your information? I've got my host machine, which it uses for just the MAC address, it collects that. And then the gateway. So this attack mainly takes place on a local connection. You pretend to be the gateway for the target, you pretend to be the target for the gateway, so you see any information passing between the two. So anything that's through their internet or anything, you get their packets. So I'll run that here. This runs through Scapy. So it looks like it's trying to reach the MAC address. Depending on if the
systems actually exist or not. I ran this yesterday. May have to change my own IP here. Config. I'll do it for my wireless. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so I'm having trouble reaching the internet here, but it uses SCAPI, so it's a little messy. For some reason, it likes to print dots for every attempt it puts out. But it collects the gateway MAC address through a simple ARP ping, which just reaches out and say, hey, what's the MAC address associated with this IP? It does the same thing for the target. After it's collected all the information given, it then just sends a repeated request for ARP attack info, then saying, hey, I'm the target to the gateway, and I'm the gateway to the target. It looks like it's not cooperating, sadly. But, yeah. I can show you the code, I suppose.
Let's see what oh, we got less feedback again. Sweet. So this one's pretty simple. It uses Python SCAPI library, which is just for manipulating TCP stuff. But you can see here I've got, this is before I built my argument parser, so it's really crude, just using direct connection, and tells me it's angry if it doesn't get one of the arguments. I'm trying to expand it. Can you see that? Or is that super small? Alright, so yeah, I've got right here, this gets the IP, or it gets the MAC for an IP given. I tried to build these functions as generic as possible because you never know when you're going to reuse something. So anything I built it as well and as rounded as possible for anything, because it's really annoying to build almost the same code 1,000 times. Then I got the poison attack here. You can see it's really small. It's not really that big of a thing because it's just an ARP send request. So it sends 5 counts of each ARP packet at a time, and it's just got a constant while loop which sends everything out. I've got benefits for muting everything because it's a real pain to see all the dots just continually streaming across the screen, so it refreshes it on a single line to show me it's still working, but it doesn't flood the screen. Yeah. And then this is the attack right here. It just is a single line in this while loop, which just goes until I hit Control-C, which is like cancel or exit of the script, and sends the attack. And then I've got another tool which gives me all the packets that are streaming through my network that I can see. Which I can show you that, I guess. That one doesn't error, I don't think. So. Am I still DDoSing someone right now? That's going way too fast for a real connection. Oh, you know what it is? It's the stream. That's what it is.
Are you sure it's not the Chinese?
Yeah, so this is all this one is like for a DDoS attack, going a lot faster. But you can see the packets are streaming through pretty quickly. I'm trying to connect to YouTube because I'm streaming something right now. Yeah, you can see I've got the sending person, and I've got the receiving person, and it just shows everything that comes through. It's going through pretty quickly. This is what a stream looks like. So yeah. Any other questions?
What language?
Most everything I've ever written on this computer is in Python. I've gotten a little bit more involved in web stuff, and I've got just started back up again with JavaScript because I'm trying to write some browser applications for some of my tools. Yeah, but I've got a little bit of PHP under my belt and
Nice.
SQL if you count that as a language.
For sure, structured query language. Very cool. Questions? You got a question? Have you written custom exploits for one system or one target yet? Can you talk, and if you have, can you talk about your process from using your general tools you've written to actually writing a custom one?
That's also a really good question. Most of the stuff that I've done,
Can you
it's,
repeat the question?
yeah, his question was, have you ever taken your generic tools and built a customized tool for a specific target? And if so, what was the process from transforming the basic attack to a more specified attack? I've done a little bit of that. It's kind of hard to do. Most of the stuff that I've done is either really easy to attack or really hard to attack. I've yet to find anything right in the middle. So you either get shut down right at the beginning and then you have to try all sorts of weird things, or you have to, or it's pretty easy and you can get most of the stuff done with the generic attacks. I remember we were doing a couple attacks on routers, or perhaps we might have been doing attacks on routers outside of here, may or may not, probably hypothetical. But most of those routers were all the same, and we're using default passwords for their systems because most people don't think about changing those. So in that case, we just built a giant bot that would scan for those types of systems and then automatically crack in using the default passwords, which were like 1 or 2 tries, and then we'll go in and do whatever. Yeah, really hypothetical. Just entirely maybe. I thought this up in my head like right now. Yeah, and did whatever we wanted to do afterwards. So, yeah, really it's all about the information gathering, so as much as you can learn as possible, which is why OpenBOSS and these fuzzing tools really come in handy, because it gives you a wide broad spectrum of everything they have, and then afterwards you go in and focus in on specific things and see as far as you can get, and at a certain point you'll either come to a stop or you get through and gain access to something. Is that good?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Any other questions? Yes, my fuzzing tool, what was I using for web scraping? As I said before, I was using the Twisted interface. Twisted has a whole bunch of really nice libraries for a whole bunch of different things. They got basic web clients, web servers, and a whole bunch of different other protocols pre-built into it. So you just need to define a class, and then they got a whole bunch of specialized functions that you declare, and it handles all the different things that can take place. So afterwards, it's just a matter of building everything else around that. So in this case, I had a single class which was in charge of collecting requests and then receiving the data back from those requests as fast as I possibly can, and then just managing the threads and then launching and messing with that data afterwards for all the things that I need to do. So for the URL fuzzer, I was only looking for the code that it responded back, so I wasn't really caring about the HTML. For the web crawler, I actually went through all of the HTML that it responded back with to find other links that I could go to look for.
That's cool. That's really freaking smart, dude. Nice.
Questions?
So I assume like this is where you use Twisted with that, right? Where you spawn the different thread on just that content alone, and you don't care. The other thread doesn't care about the content from the one thread, and vice versa. Mutual exclusivity.
Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. That sounds really freaking smart, man. I like that.
Yes. So let's start in the background of this. I have the OpenBOSS tool. I don't think I can show that on this because I don't have OpenBOSS installed, but we're putting a server here that I can SSH into and show you that. If we still have it running, I'm not sure. Yeah. Let's get over my library because we got a bit of time here if we don't have any more questions. So we have an email spam tool. That one's less exciting and more damaging than I would intend for this demonstration. But you can log in as an existing user until we get our own email server. We may or may not use it afterwards. Totally hypothetical. Use it to randomly generate emails that we just throw away and do attacks that you can't necessarily block. But the email spammer that I currently have uses an active Gmail account that you log into, and then forms a message out of the top 1,000 used words with a, the, and all the articles and things like that. So it's unblockable because you'll be blocking just common words that be used in an email. So the only thing that you can really block is the email address, but if that's constantly being changed, then there's no way to block it.
What is spam bot queries?
That was the first tool and attack I did against the Fury website. It's one of my most primitive tools. It uses the web interface that I use for the DirectSpot to log in as a user in their website and then flood their chat system with a bunch of randomly generated messages as fast as it possibly can.
It took him a week to take down. It was running for a very short period of time. It took him more than a week to clear it all out. Oh man, that is brutal. 15104 is an open boss if you want to play with that.
Okay, yeah,
that's
but we have nothing else. Yeah, I've got a bunch of my other primitive tools. I went through a couple more versions of the WebFuzz tool because I wasn't sure exactly how to work it out. Finally got twisted off because the first version I was just using raw sockets, but the sockets were blocking and choking up and crossing each other, so Twisted is a really nice framework because it allows you to do everything asynchronously and do everything at once without any of those problems. I can show you my malware, I guess. I'm not going to do the infection of it, but I can show you the process that takes place whenever it does, whenever it is infected. So I'm just going to SSH into this machine right here and show you what it looks like. Give me a second here.
Do I not have any internet?
Doesn't look like I have any internet here. I can't ping anything internally, which is annoying. No. I'm not sure why I can't reach it here. You know what, it might be called trying to go through my wired network for some reason. I have this weird problem where it doesn't like my wireless.
Send your default route to the wireless.
It also, for some reason, something with the network here is set up so even when it's disconnected, it still gives me an IP address associated with the network, which is kind of weird too. I'm not sure. Let's see here. Well, I can show you the code. It's not as exciting, but you know. I got a whole bunch of different versions here. I originally built it to be just a Debian package, which is for Ubuntu. So you just depackage this and it would automatically install itself in the places it needed to go and then do everything. But I've tried to make it as generic as possible for all systems. Right now it's just a simple Python script. And I'm currently writing within the last day a new version which will take active accounts of when users are connected and their logging periods in order to figure out when they're not active, so then it only attacks when they're not paying attention. Yeah, it's a work in progress. It's very rough right now. But let me get here. I can't do those. Only one hand. It's being unfair. Okay, I'm gonna put this down for a second. This is really good.
Your system's name is Hack You?
Yeah.
That's great. Hack You.
So when it installs the malware, I thought this was kind of funny. It does it in the bin directory, which is just the directory for all sorts of minor things that you've installed on your system, all like the executables and everything. And it puts it in a hidden folder in the bin directory. So unless you're really looking for it, you're not going to find it. And it creates a cron job, which is just a continuous task that tries to execute every X amount of time that you preset in order to reconnect. So in this case, I've got it set up for the cron job to run every 0.2 seconds and attempt to connect to whatever I've associated as my IP to form a reverse shell to. And it forces you in the scripts to run it as root. So when it doesn't just give me a shell for your user, it gives me root access to your machine. which is pretty nice. But on top of doing the reverse shell, it also it downloads a log system for me to log all keyscopes. So if we're typing any passwords in for anything after I've infected you, I get their passwords and anything else connected to it as well. So yeah, I've got the log key section here, all this one section def log keys, which I've commented out because I don't want to do that to my system right now. And then I've got the shell also running in a specific thread as well. And even if you try and cancel the script because there's no daemon to close the thread after you've launched it, it continues to run even after you've closed the script.
Can you talk about that? There's no daemon?
Yeah.
So there's no. How does it watch? Does it use the kernel watchdog or what is it?
I'm not sure exactly how it works, but in most cases with the threading that's built in this module for Python, you need to declare the daemon in order for it to close with the rest of the script. If you don't declare it, it becomes its own process and then runs independently from the script. So even if you hit Control C, it says something else is running here, I'm not going to close, and continues. Yeah. You can see there's only one line for the reverse shell. It's just this simple bin bash thing. Then it just transfers it over to port 8080, which I'm then looking for on my system to connect to. And you can change the IP to whatever you want. Yeah, it's just this one line over here. And then it executes it with you. But yeah. Yeah. You'd be surprised how short things have to be in order to totally destroy your system. Yeah, I've got a couple less interesting but kind of funny to talk about things. I got this one little folder here called Danger, because these are the things that can actually destroy your system or cause real damage. I've written one thing that it adds into the beginning of every Python script it can ever find on your system that has access to at whatever level you give it, and it'll copy the behavior of asking for the root password on an Ubuntu system. So you'll type in, if you're running as a sudo user, it'll actively do it, but then if it knows that you're trying to run it as sudo, it'll say, please try again, even though you've successfully entered the password, and then requires you to enter again. At that point, it's capture your password, and then caches that in the temp directory. Yeah, I've also got another thing that replaces every PHP file with a corrupted version. It says, oops, you got hacked, and it's got the nice little embedded video of this song off the internet, which is called You Just Got Hacked. And it's pretty fun. Let's see. I'm trying to build an automated doxing tool. I've had a little bit of a problem with the twisted reactor thing that's been bothering me, because I'm trying to import this library and run this function more than once at any call that I want, but I can't run it more than once because the reactor says I can't run it again. So I'm trying to figure that out. But once I get that built, I will have access to the ability. I give it a name or something, and it does a lookup on a bunch of websites, both DuckDuckGo, which is this free non-tracking version of Google, and Google, as well as Bing. And then, based on all those collected results, it does a crawl through all of them with the twisted library that I would have built, looking for email addresses and any names and personal information on those websites. And then afterwards, we'll then use those emails and things in order to do further exploits and stuff to figure out who this person is. But yeah. Most of that's in my head right now because it's all very messy. Any other questions?
Do you have any time for video games?
I'm sorry?
Do you have any time for video games, free time?
Yeah, it's actually surprising. I was very into video games for the longest time. I haven't played any real games for 3 or 4 months at this point. I did build a game where I built a version of my infected thing using Metasploit. It downloads, you say, hey, check out this game, and it runs this Python script to automatically install it. But then it also corrupts the installer to have a binary that will give you a reverse shell as well.
Can't even play a game anymore. That's great. I love it, man. I love it.
But, yeah, that's it. Any other questions before we wrap it up? All right, thank you, everyone.
One more round of applause for Andrew. Just wanted to make a quick announcement. First of all, thank you everybody for coming. This is a great turnout, just like we had 2 weeks ago. This is speech number 2, and what we hope to be a continuing series of just informational talks that we're going to host throughout the range. We have another one scheduled 2 weeks from today. Hopefully 2 weeks after that, but wanted to throw it out there. If there's anybody in this room that knows a lot about something and would like to share that information, please come see me or David, and we can get you scheduled. So we want to have this an ongoing thing. Maybe once every 2 weeks, and help make the Center River Range a place to come to learn a little bit of badass like Andrew.
Oh yeah. Right on.
Well, thanks again for coming.
You got a permanent badge now?
Yeah, you can stop OBS, first tab. And just stop streaming and stop recording. Right there. Stop streaming.